Trade negotiations with China set to resume this morning. Joining us now from Stockholm, U.S. Trade Rep Jamieson Greer. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for joining us this morning.
Of course. Great to be here again. How are you?
Great. Do you want to look backwards or forward? We definitely want to talk about China, but we just had our own discussion about whether the Japan deal, the EU deal, whether they were net positives for both countries, net negatives, whether someone wins, someone loses, do consumers lose? Is it a good thing for the country, in your view? I mean, obviously you think it is, but tell us why.
It's an amazing thing for our country. For 70 years, we followed a trade policy that maybe at a certain time made sense, but ultimately the net result was other countries had higher tariffs and non-tariff barriers on the United States. We had a very open economy, and a lot of it resulted in offshoring of manufacturing and jobs to other countries. President Trump is now reversing that through these deals. We're essentially reaching settlements with countries that are good for them and good for us, where we get to keep some level of tariff on the country, but we also open their markets to our exports. And this is how you get rid of trade deficits. It's how you create a manufacturing boom. So these are obviously huge net positives for America and American workers.
Go into some of the devil in the details for the EU deal. Is everyone going to be driving an American car now, and they're going to get rid of all the Mercedes and Porsches and Audis?
Correct. Every single European will be driving an American vehicle. No, but they are going to be reducing their tariffs. They're going to be accepting aspects of American auto standards. They're going to be reducing their tariffs on all industrial goods shipped by the U.S. So think chemicals, medical devices, et cetera. They're going to be reducing their tariffs on a number of agricultural goods that we make here in America. And we'll be able to have a 15% tariff on the EU. And this is important because we have a $235 billion trade deficit with the EU. President von der Leyen of the European Union, she was very straightforward. She said this deal was about trying to reach balance. They acknowledged the legitimacy of the American challenge that we face as America with our trade deficit. But now we're just on a great footing to have a really good partnership with the EU, following on the heels of the big NATO win from the president a few weeks ago. This positions us to take our relationship with the EU forward in a new and a better way.
Ambassador, I want to read you the Wall Street Journal's op-ed page this morning. This is their critique of the deal. They say the deal doesn't appear to address America's biggest commercial grievances with Europe, such as digital taxes, punitive regulation against U.S. tech firms, and such faux food safety rules as GMO restrictions and bans on hormones related to U.S. beef, nor does it require Europeans to pay more for drugs, one of Mr. Trump's longstanding complaints. It goes on to say that the spending that Europe's going to be enacting here in the U.S. was effectively going to happen anyway. What do you make of all of that?
So the spending was not going to happen anyway. We looked at the numbers together with our European colleagues, and they invest around, their numbers around $100 billion per year. They're going to essentially double or even triple that per year over the next part of the president's term. In terms of the LNG purchases, they buy about $80 billion a year. They're going to crank that up, that and other energy purchases, to about $250 billion a year. So it's obviously more and better. Those are numbers. That's math. With respect to trade barriers, I mean, there are always going to be challenges with other countries, but the EU has said that they are going to work with us on things like, mutual recognition of telecommunication standards, cybersecurity, so that our networks and network equipment can talk to each other. They're going to streamline processes for certifications for pork and for dairy. So there is a lot of technical detail in here, including some of those what we call non-tariff barriers, and that is what we're looking at, right? Standards for autos, these kinds of things. Making sure that aren't network usage fees, and that's something that some of our digital folks care a lot about. So we do cover quite a bit of ground in this agreement, and we expect it's going to have a great impact on reducing our deficit and frankly increasing U.S. exports to the European Union.
Ambassador Greer, there still are a few questions just about the details. I know you all are still working some of these things out, but is it clear that there will be no additional tariffs beyond 15%, including things like pharmaceuticals and others down the road?
So for example, it's 15% across the board. With respect to steel, however, that's something where we want to keep working with the European Union. It's very important to the president that other countries make sure that they protect their steel markets and solve the overcapacity issues or imports from third countries that come and displace their steel. So there are certain sectors like that where we need to have further discussions with them. We know the Europeans want to, have some kind of an outcome there. Joe mentioned a few other issues of digital services taxes, et cetera. We've been very clear with the Europeans that we want to see those removed as well. So there are certainly areas to keep working on in different sectors. We
have been with you every step of the way. The administration, I guess, with what's happening with China, it looked like things were going well. Then it looked like both sides were accusing the other side of not following through on the initial framework. And then Treasury Secretary Bessent said it seems like things had turned for the better. Where do we stand right now? It's kind of a saga that we're on. Are we entering the latest round in a good position? Should we expect positive surprises, Mr. Ambassador?
Well, I would say, first of all, the U.S. is in an incredible position. We've spent the past 3 months trying to reorder global trade to make sure we can get rid of these systemic imbalances that have persisted. We now have deals with the EU, Japan, and a number of partners. So we come into these negotiations with a strong hand. Our discussions with the Chinese are always cordial and constructive. This is the third round in the past 3 months. So just the fact that we're talking and we want to move forward in a positive way is its own good sign. I don't expect some kind of enormous breakthrough today. What I expect is continued monitoring and checking in on the implementation of our agreement thus far, making sure that key critical minerals are flowing between the parties and setting the groundwork for enhanced trade and balanced trade going forward.
When are we going to hear about a meeting between President Xi and President Trump? Are there things happening behind the scenes that we don't know about? What can you tell us?
I mean, listen, these things, there's certainly interest on both sides for the leaders to meet. They have a good relationship. They communicate with some relative frequency, and there have been discussions of having a meeting in the near future. I don't know where that'll be or specific dates, but that's certainly something that's on the agenda of both sides.
We were surprised that both the EU and Japan, the deal was done before India. Can you update us on what's happening? Are there sticking points? Is that it's been imminent for a while? We got to figure out a new word for maybe not use imminent.
Yeah, you could go back and find clips of me saying we're about to have a deal with India. I mean, I think the thing to understand with India is their trade policy for a very long time has been premised on strongly protecting their domestic market. That's just how they do business over there. And the president is in a mode of wanting deals that substantially open other markets, that they open everything or near everything. So we continue to speak with our Indian counterparts. We've always had very constructive discussions with them. They have expressed strong interest in opening portions of their market. We, of course, are willing to continue talking to them. But I think that we need some more negotiations on that end with our Indian friends to see how ambitious they want to be.
With Japan and the EU now done and other countries, do you expect, and August 1st is coming, do you expect things to start happening even more quickly? Is there could you see other countries saying, wow, we've got to get this done. We don't want to be glaringly one of the countries that has not gotten a deal yet. That probably wouldn't make the president happy, and I guess that must be a consideration. No?
There are a lot of these countries that feel a lot of pressure from their home political situation, and every day I'm in conversations with many of these trade ministers, and many of them are being very ambitious in terms of taking down tariffs and non-tariff barriers. Others less so. For me, of course, I work for President Trump, and President Trump, he's more interested in having a good deal rather than a quick deal. So in some of these instances, we will wait and see. We'll see how ambitious countries want to be. We don't feel a necessary urgency for deals. We like to have deals. We want to have something that can help restructure trade. But we've all heard the president repeatedly say that he's happy with the tariff. He's happy to just send a letter and set a tariff as opposed to having a deal. So there are plenty of countries who are interested. And we review these options with the president all the time. And he's really weighing what's going to be the best way to get at this deficit and to instigate reshoring. Will it just be a flat tariff, or will it be some other kind of arrangement? So you could have more deals, but again, it's not something that we don't feel under pressure to have more deals. I'll put it that way.
You probably stay in your lane, and maybe somebody else, maybe the Treasury Secretary would be a better person to ask. But there has been a real lack of the negative predictions. We haven't seen a lot of these things come true on either hurting the consumer, the economy, growth, or inflation. Is it coming? Is it right around the bend, or do you in the administration, do you all look at each other and say it's not coming at this point? We can breathe.
Well, within the administration, we have always had a sense that we could execute this plan with not only minimal negative impact, but really a positive impact on the economy. Remember, in the first term, we put significant tariffs on China, and inflation went down, and unemployment went down, and real median household income went up. So we know that you can do tariffs in a way that makes sense, and that's what we've been doing. We've had tariffs in place now for several months, and we've been hearing from the haters over and over, well, it's coming, it's on its way, we're not seeing it yet. And I don't know how long they're going to be saying it. We watch this, of course. We watch it every single day. We want to make sure that the economy is really humming and that manufacturing starts to boom. But I think that we've seen the market bake in a lot of these tariffs and tariff expectations, and we're seeing supply chains start to shift in a way that's good for America and American workers, and we expect that to continue.
You watch inflation readings, potential for inflation readings every day. What would happen if it did pick up? What's the response? Well,
first of all, I would say I would be surprised, again, because we've had tariffs in place for so many months now. It would be somewhat odd for it to suddenly have an increase like that. The reality is we talked to the president about the economic indicators, whether it's employment, jobs, inflation, et cetera, the market, of course. So if there was some kind of negative indicator, we would talk about it and talk about what to do. We don't expect that to happen, though. All the evidence we've had so far has been positive.
I like all those flags, Mr. Ambassador. Use more here. You have a nice one behind you. A lot of time. But thank you. Thank you for quickly responding and coming on this morning. It was good to have you on, Mr. Ambassador. Thanks.
Great to be here. Thank you.